Have you ever felt reality glitch for a split second, as if the universe itself momentarily forgot to keep pretending? At 3:17 p.m. on an ordinary Tuesday, Sarah was sitting in traffic on I-95, staring at the same gray skyline she'd seen 1,000 times. Same cars, same brake lights, same strangers crossing the street with eyes locked on their phones. The world felt painfully familiar, almost mechanical. And then, without warning, everything stopped. Not slowed, stopped. The cars froze in place. The air thickened like someone muted existence. A bird hung motionless mid-flight, as if suspended in pixels. The entire city paused, silent and breathless, as if the simulation skipped a frame. Sarah blinked, and the world snapped back with a violent shudder like a cosmic program rewriting itself. She gripped the steering wheel, heart pounding, trying to make sense of what she saw. But logic couldn't erase the feeling that something behind the curtain had slipped, something she wasn't supposed to notice. That night, the patterns began. The clock flashing 11:11 over and over. Her phone lighting up with a message at the exact moment she thought of someone she hadn't spoken to in months. A dream so vivid it felt more like a memory from another timeline, only to find herself standing in that same place the following week, overwhelmed by a sense of impossible recognition. If any part of this feels familiar, if you've ever sensed that this world is scripted, that your life is unfolding along lines you didn't choose, that reality is thinner than it looks, then this video isn't just content. It's a mirror, a signal, a doorway. Because what you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's a possibility that some of the world's leading physicists, neuroscientists, and philosophers are quietly acknowledging. That what you call reality may not be the base layer of existence. That matter is not solid, but patterns of information collapsing under observation. That your consciousness, your vibration, your frequency, your inner field, is not a passenger in this universe, but a fundamental force shaping it. This is where quantum consciousness meets the hidden architecture of the universe, where the subconscious mind becomes a coding system interacting with a vast quantum field of possibilities, where what feels like coincidence reveals itself as communication, where your spiritual awakening stops being a metaphor and becomes a shift in perception, an expansion of consciousness that lets you sense the reality occulta beneath the physical world. Maybe you've always felt it, that subtle sense of being watched by something that isn't human, that eerie alignment of events that seem too precise to be random, that quiet pull in your chest whenever your vibration changes. Maybe you've wondered why your dreams bleed into waking life, why your intuition predicts moments before they unfold, why your emotions seem to ripple through the world as if the universe is listening. What if it is? What if the field is responding to you every moment, adjusting to your frequency, rearranging your timeline according to the beliefs encoded in your subconscious mind? What if the glitches you experience aren't errors, but invitations? And what if you're only now beginning to remember the truth that's been hidden in plain sight? Because the moment you start to notice the cracks, the simulation can no longer hold its shape, and something far more powerful begins to reveal itself. Because once you begin to see the seams in reality, you can't simply unsee them. The shift has already started, and your consciousness is moving toward something larger than the version of life you were taught to accept. And before we go further into this, before we take the next step into the deeper layers of the quantum field and the hidden architecture shaping your experience, there's something simple I want to ask of you. If any part of what you've heard so far resonates, if it echoes something you've quietly sensed your entire life, take a moment to comment, like, and subscribe. Not as a reflex, not as a favor, but as a conscious gesture of alignment. When you share your thoughts or your own experiences, you help create a space where others can recognize themselves. When you like the video, you ensure that content about consciousness, perception, and the reality beneath the surface isn't buried by the system. And when you subscribe, you stay connected to a community that's exploring these ideas with clarity, depth, and genuine curiosity. This channel grows because people like you choose to engage with intention. Your presence strengthens the field we're building, a field where awareness expands, and where questions that usually go unspoken finally have a place to land. So if this conversation is meaningful to you, let the platform know you want more of it. It helps others find their way here, and it keeps this dialogue alive. We're just beginning to uncover what lies behind the illusion, and the next part of this journey goes even deeper into the mechanics of consciousness, and the architecture of the universe you're navigating every day. Stay close, because what's coming next will shift the way you understand your own power, your perception, and the design of your reality. And once you begin to notice the code, it becomes impossible to move through your life the same way. Imagine your own routine for a moment. You wake up, glance at your phone, scroll through the same apps designed to keep your perception narrow. You commute the same roads, speak to the same people, repeat the same patterns. Days layer onto each other like identical frames in a looping simulation, and somewhere deep inside, your subconscious mind whispers a question you've tried to ignore. Is this really all there is? That quiet unease is not boredom. It is the first tremor of expansion, the beginning of a spiritual awakening, the subtle moment when your perception stretches beyond the boundaries of what you were taught to believe, and then the glitches start to reveal themselves. You think of someone and they appear in your notifications minutes later. You see the same repeating numbers on clocks with eerie precision. You dream about a place that feels impossible, until you find yourself standing in it, overwhelmed by a sense of recognition your rational mind cannot explain. You experience déjà vu so intense you feel the simulation hiccup, as if your consciousness slipped ahead of the moment before your senses caught up. These moments don't come to everyone, and they don't come randomly. They appear when your energy begins to shift, when your vibration rises just enough to brush against the edges of a deeper field of information, what many call the quantum field, a realm where all timelines exist simultaneously and perception acts as the gateway between them. We are conditioned to dismiss these cracks as coincidence, imagination, or neurological noise. But what if these anomalies are not errors? What if they are evidence? Evidence that your reality is constructed from layers of frequency and information, shaped by your beliefs and filtered through the subconscious programs formed before you were even aware you were alive. When you sense something watching, guiding, nudging you, perhaps it isn't paranoia. Perhaps it is your own expanded consciousness observing itself from beyond the interface of ordinary perception. This is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable for many, yet undeniable for those who feel it. If we take seriously what physicists and consciousness researchers propose, that reality behaves like information collapsing under observation, that our sensory world is a simplified interface, and that consciousness might be more fundamental than matter, then your experiences begin to form a pattern. The glitch in the matrix moments are not random disruptions, they are reminders. They are the points where your inner world and the hidden architecture of the universe briefly sync, revealing the reality occulta beneath the physical layer. They are signals that your expansion of consciousness has begun, whether you intended it or not. Before we move forward, I want to invite you to pause and interact in a way that strengthens this field we're building together. Share one moment in the comments, a synchronicity, a dream, a shift in perception that made you question the nature of your reality. When you do, you're not just engaging with a video, you're joining a community of people experiencing the same awakening. If this message resonates with your journey, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Not as routine engagement, but as a deliberate act of connection, a way of keeping these conversations alive and visible for others who are searching for clarity in their own lives. Your interaction strengthens this space and helps expand it outward. Stay with me, because what comes next will take us deeper into the inner mechanics of your programming, and why these cracks in perception are only the beginning of what the universe is trying to show you. Why these cracks in perception are only the beginning of what the universe is trying to show you. To understand what that really means, we have to zoom out. For most of human history, we were told a simple story. This physical world is solid, matter is fundamental, and consciousness comes last, like a byproduct of the brain. But then quantum physics arrived and quietly shattered that certainty. When scientists looked deep enough into atoms, they didn't find tiny solid marbles. They found probability waves, invisible fields, pure information. At the smallest scales, reality behaves like possibilities that only become real when observed. That strange dependency on observation is what we call the observer effect, and it suggests that perception and reality are far more entangled than we were taught. Then came something even more unsettling, the holographic principle. Some physicists now propose that our entire universe may be like a hologram, where everything you experience as three-dimensional space is actually encoded as information on a distant boundary. The room you're in right now, the sky above your neighborhood, your own body and thoughts, All of it could be a projection of deeper data in a vast quantum field. And in neuroscience and cognitive science, voices like Donald Hoffman argue that what you see is not reality itself, but a kind of user interface your mind builds to survive. Not the truth, but icons. Not the machine, just the screen. Put this together and a radical picture emerges. The universe might be holographic, your perception might be a simulation interface, and your consciousness might be more fundamental than the matter it seems to inhabit. Suddenly, when spiritual traditions say, you are not the body, you are awareness, the world is illusion, and when modern people talk about quantum consciousness, law of attraction, vibration, frequency, and energy, they may all be pointing, clumsily, to the same shocking insight. Consciousness creates reality by the way it observes, feels, and believes. Matter is not the boss here. Mind might be. If this is already shaking the way you see the world, don't just let it sit in your head. Share one reflection or question in the comments so this field of awareness grows through real stories and real voices. If you want to keep exploring how science, spirituality, and the hidden architecture of reality connect, like this video and subscribe as a conscious choice to stay in this conversation. Your engagement helps this channel reach others who are feeling the same quiet pull toward expansion of consciousness. Because next, we're going to step directly into what this means for your own life, how your subconscious mind, your emotional vibration, and your daily choices may be shaping the simulation you wake up in every single day. Because once you understand that changing your inner code is a real mechanism, not metaphor, not poetry, but a direct interaction between your subconscious mind and the quantum field, you begin to see why life has felt like a loop. Every belief you absorbed before you had the power to question anything became part of the vibrational signature you broadcast into the universe. That signature is not just emotional, it is informational. It shapes the way you perceive opportunities, the way you interpret people's behavior, the way you expect outcomes to unfold, and the field responds, not with morality or punishment, but with perfect neutrality, returning to you the frequency you consistently emit. Think about your own patterns through this lens. The relationship that ends the same way each time is not fate. It's the echo of an identity you didn't choose but learned to carry. The financial instability or scarcity you feel, no matter how hard you work, is not a mark of failure. It is the vibration of old narratives about worth, security, or possibility. The anxiety that wakes you before your alarm, even when your life is stable on the surface, is not irrational. It is your nervous system running a script written years ago, trying to protect you from threats that no longer exist. And that moment you sabotage yourself just when things begin to improve. That's not weakness. It's your subconscious trying to return you to the level of reality it believes is safe, because unfamiliar expansion feels dangerous to a mind trained in survival. When you start to view these patterns as conditioned programs rather than personal flaws, something powerful happens. Compassion enters the picture. You stop attacking yourself for repeating the past and begin to understand the mechanics behind it. Sarah's pattern wasn't about relationships failing her. It was about her belief system shaping her perception, her behavior, and the version of reality she could access. The quantum field simply mirrored her inner code without hesitation. And this mirroring is happening to each of us all the time. It is not mystical punishment. It is vibrational coherence. This is the hidden part of manifestation and law of attraction science that most people never discuss. You don't manifest from desire alone. You manifest from the frequency of what your subconscious believes is possible, safe, and familiar. You attract not what you want, but what your inner world can sustain. And when those inner structures begin to shift, reality responds with a precision that feels supernatural, because it violates the old rules you lived by. Before we go further, I want to invite you into something simple. Share a moment in the comments when you realized you were repeating a pattern. Something in your relationships, your finances, your emotions, or your self-image that felt too familiar to be random. When you put words to your experience, two things happen. You begin to change the code by bringing it into awareness, and you help others recognize their own reflection in your story. If this exploration resonates with you so far, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Not out of habit, but as a conscious act of connection, a way of strengthening this community and ensuring that conversations about quantum consciousness, subconscious healing, and reality transformation continue to find the people who need them. Stay with me, Because in the next part, we are going to step directly into what happens when you start rewriting the program, how your vibration shifts, how the field responds, and how your entire reality begins to reorganize itself around a new version of you that is finally waking up. So how do you stop being just a character and start becoming a conscious participant in the simulation you wake up inside every day? You don't begin by trying to control the universe or force outcomes. You start with the one element of reality that has always been within your reach: awareness. Awareness is the moment the subconscious rises into the light. It is the instant your perception widens enough to see the patterns you've been repeating, the vibration you've been broadcasting, the beliefs that have shaped your experience without your permission. When Sarah finally recognized that her life followed the same emotional loop, she shifted the question. Instead of asking why the universe kept hurting her, she asked what belief inside her kept instructing the simulation to replay the same scene. That single shift in perception changed everything. She sat with the memories she had avoided. She felt the ache she had numbed for years. She allowed her energy to tremble, her breath to deepen, her consciousness to touch the parts of herself she once kept hidden. In facing what she feared, the code began to rewrite itself. For the first time, she stayed present when her instinct pushed her to run. For the first time, she said no to a pattern that drained her frequency. For the first time, she treated her own existence as something worthy of a different reality. And the simulation responded, not because she used the right technique, but because the field had finally been given a new frequency to mirror. This is what I want you to internalize. The reality you see is not fixed. It is not the objective truth of the universe. It is a relationship between your consciousness and the quantum field, a living interface shaped by vibration, expectation, and emotion. When you shift the energy you bring into that relationship, the world around you begins to rearrange itself with a precision that feels almost supernatural. This is not imagination. It is the physics of perception interacting with a field of infinite possibilities. And once you understand this, once you embody the truth that your subconscious mind is not just storing your past, but actively generating your present, the entire architecture of your life begins to loosen. Space opens. New timelines become accessible. The boundaries of who you thought you were begin to dissolve into something far more expansive. In the next video on this channel, your whole life changes. When you understand this, get ready. We are going to go deeper into this shift. I'll show you the single insight that turns passive participants of the simulation into conscious architects of their reality, the understanding that ignites a true disperter of spiritual and accelerates the expansion of consciousness in ways you can feel at the level of energy, frequency, and perception. You do not want to miss what's coming. Before we move forward, share something in the comments that marks your place in this journey. You can write a phrase that affirms your shift. I awaken. I see beyond. I am expanding. Or anything that reflects what is opening inside you. Your voice strengthens the field we are building here. And when you like this video and subscribe, you help this work reach others who are ready to step into the reality occulta of their own consciousness. Now, if this video resonated with you even a little, don't let the momentum fade by slipping back into autopilot. Moments like this, when something inside you recognizes truth, are rare. Honor them. Go to the comments and answer this question. What was your biggest glitch in the Matrix moment? That one experience that made you stop and think, reality shouldn't work like this. When you share your story, two powerful things happen at once. You tell the algorithm, this conversation matters. Show it to more people. And you send a signal to your own nervous system that you're not alone in this process, that your awakening is real, and that others are walking the same path of expanded perception. If you want more content on quantum consciousness, the holographic universe, subconscious reprogramming, vibrational reality, and spiritual awakening inside a simulated world, hit like and subscribe, not out of obligation, but as a conscious choice to stay connected to the field we're building here. And when you turn on notifications, you won't miss the next video. Your whole life changes. When you understand this, get ready. It is the direct continuation of the transformation you began today. And if someone in your life is struggling with anxiety, burnout, emotional loops, or an awakening they don't know how to describe, share this video with them. You might become the exact glitch they needed, the moment that opens a door they didn't know existed and changes the trajectory of their entire simulation. Stay aware, stay curious, stay expanding. We're only at the beginning of what your consciousness is ready to explore.